I'm joined here today by Dr. Helen Knaggs from New Skin. Can you tell us more about yourself and what your company does?
I am the Vice President of Research and Development for New Skin Enterprises. The company is 26 years old, and throughout its life it has had a very strong tradition of innovation. So with the advent of these technological advances in the field of anti-aging and genetic research, New Skin's sort of 5-year goal looking ahead is to provide very innovative, cutting-edge products that target the sources of aging by looking at the genes. New Skin has got 2 brands. We've got a Pharmanex brand and a New Skin brand. Pharmanex provides oral supplements, whilst New Skin focuses on the personal care. So this means that the company is very well positioned to address aging from the outside in as well as from the inside out.
As an anti-aging expert, you'll be speaking at In-Cosmetics Asia Facial Beauty Conference on the topic of aging and genes. Why do you think there is so much more gene research on skin at the moment?
I think we see this increase in research in this area because there's been a confluence of scientific discoveries and the emergence of enabling technologies just in the last few years, just in this century alone. So what happened was in 2001 and 2003 there were 2 landmark publications in Science and Nature, and they describe the sequence of the human genome. This is just phenomenal because the human genome is our blueprint. It makes us who we are. So it gives us our blue eyes or our red hair or the different skin types that we see. And with this information, we were able to find out that humans have about 20,000 to 25,000 genes. So the second thing is that there's been this development of new instrumentation which is highly accessible and can be used in laboratories. So we see microarray technologies, which are basically quite small instrumentation, and they allow all 25,000 genes to be analyzed in a single experiment. When I was in school, we just studied one gene and it took several days or even weeks to get information about that one gene. Now we can look at all of the genes of the human genome very rapidly. And we also see other techniques like RT-PCR, which allows a subset of genes to be analyzed. So genes are our blueprint, and there is now great interest in using this information and using these technologies to explore how genes control our aging process.
Now, research shows that humans are 90% genetically similar to mice. So why do you think we are so advanced?
It sounds strange, doesn't it? Although we have our own individual genetic code, we share a large proportion of this code with other humans and also even with other species. So being humans, we have a lot in common with mice and even with worms when we look at our genetic code. So why is this? Well, it's because we have traces of ancient genes that stem from the beginning of time that we share with every living organism. And those genes control the pattern of gene expression and the proteins that are produced. But humans have an extra level of control, and that has evolved to a very high level. There's very fine, elaborate controlling mechanisms, and we believe that those are the most important things in making us humans and making mice mice. Now, this area of the controlling mechanisms of gene expression is called epigenetics, and this is a new field of science that really we are on the forefront, and it's very exciting.
So with this new research and understanding, do you think the personal care products will start changing our genes?
I don't think we want to change the gene sequence. That sounds scary, and it sort of makes people think about mutants and mutations. So we want to keep our gene sequence the same. We want to continue to be ourselves. What we want to understand is how those genes are expressed. So that pattern of gene expression. Some genes are upregulated, some genes are downregulated. And that then has an influence on the proteins that are produced. So proteins like collagen and elastin are very important in the integrity of the skin structure. And we know that collagen and elastin production decreases as we age. So the control of how much collagen and elastin is produced comes from the pattern of gene expression. So we want to be able to influence that pattern of gene expression so that we continue to make collagen and elastin even as we get older. And what we want to do from a personal care standpoint is provide products that can help us maintain our pattern of gene activity in a more youthful level.
And lastly, Helen, where do you see genetic research taking the personal care in future?
I think this whole area is just so exciting, and developments are happening so fast, it's almost difficult to speculate. When I was in school, we believed in the dogma of aging and that everybody ages and it's just a natural process. And now we see scientists and the anti-aging community changing the way that we think about aging because of our knowledge of genes. And the change is saying that perhaps aging is more plastic than we've ever realized, and that we can influence our gene expression to go back to those more youthful patterns of gene activity. So I think that the science in this field will provide new insights. It will provide pathways that we haven't, information about pathways that we previously didn't know existed, and also targets that we can use to develop products against. It will allow products to be much more efficacious and, of course, safer, because we will be able to develop more specific actives that just target the key things that we want to change from a personal care perspective, so that our products become more efficacious and safer.
Thank you, Helen, for joining us today. That was Dr. Helen Knaggs from New Skin.